Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Ashrafil Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, welcome to our Friday night class. Okay, now today I like to start with a hadith normally, and I make a slide just to show a hadith. Yes, in this case, something to do with our studies. Okay, so the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Whoever treads a path in search of knowledge, Allah makes the path to paradise easy for him." So, inshallah, this is our prayer for today. That when we start our journey in search of knowledge, yes, inshallah, we'll find our way to paradise. Okay. If you want to share any hadith, yes, please do share it, and then I can always put and make a slide about it, and we can all learn from the hadith, inshallah. Okay, I just want to ask a question. Is there anyone here who doesn't know what Irab means? Irab means. Everyone familiar? Yes. Everyone knows what is for example, you know what an isim, a fa'il, and a half is? Nobody here doesn't know what an isim, half, a fa'il? Yeah, everyone knows. Anybody does not know what rafa, nasab, jar, and jazm mean? So everyone knows. Okay, right. So I think silence means everyone knows. Okay. So ain, ra, and ba. I would like to encourage whenever you come across a new Arabic word, yes, first and foremost, recognize what the root letters are, because it's very important to know what the root letters are, because the meanings are within the root letters. Yeah. So ain, ra, and ba. So what does ain, ra, ba mean? Okay. So I have a little bit of information here, and this comes from a book called Lughatul Qur'an. It was actually written in Urdu by a sheikh. His name is Ghulam Ahmad Parvez, yes, and it was translated into English. It was translated into English. And as you can see, he says, Ain Ra Ba. What are the meanings? Of course, it means the people from Arabia. Yeah, if you call a person Al-Urb or Al-Arab is a person from the Peninsula of Arab. Yes, but what I'd like to highlight here is, yes, Ain Ra Ba actually means to make clear, to clarify something. Yeah, that's the meaning of the root word. So when we come across, can you see? It's quite small here. So when you come across inside the Quran, when it says things like Qur'ana Arabiya, yes, it doesn't mean the Arabic Quran. What it means is the clear, yeah, the clear book, yeah, Quran, the Quran, the clear book. So Ain Raba means something that is clear, something that is easy to understand. Yeah, and there's nothing complicated about it. And remember the word iwaja. Iwaja means to be crooked. Yes, there's no crookedness or complications about this book. Yeah, Quranan Arabian. Yeah, so sometimes you see the translation, the Arabic Quran. But that it's not really the Arabic Quran, it's the clear Quran. So that's the one thing I'd like to highlight there. Okay, so a bit more, terminology that we need to look at before we even begin the Irab of Surah Yasin, because I'm thinking of about maybe 5 to 6 lessons first on the terminology and how we make Irab. Yeah, how do we understand Irab when we look at a verse, for example. Yeah, and my approach is classical Irab. Yes, this is not the dream or Bayina style, but we will use terms that we are familiar with from Bayina. Yes, but we need to learn the classical way of doing I'rab, because the books that you're going to refer to will use the classical way of doing I'rab. So if you don't understand it, you're going to lose out. So you need to work a little bit harder and learn all these terminologies. It's not that difficult really, because it's the same terms and sentences and expressions that is done again and again and again. So it should not be difficult to pick up. Yeah. But if you have any problems, please feel free to ask me a question anytime because we're a small group, so it shouldn't be disturbing. Sister Nazma is quite familiar with how I carry out my class, so she knows she can always ask a question. Okay, Sod, Ra, and Fa. Sarf. Okay, we know that it's word patterns and how different kinds of words are formed from root letters. Did you all learn Sarf? Uh, Anybody did not learn Sarf? Because I will spend a bit more time on this when we do the actual Irab, yeah? But Sarf is basically here, word patterns and how different kinds of words are formed from the root letters. We learned about family one, yeah, family one, mujarat family, when there's no additional letters. It's just from the three letters, usually three letters that form the word, okay? Then we had things like family two, where we add a shadda. They had things like allama, yes? And we had family three, where we add the alif, we have jahada, yes? So these are word patterns. That's sarf, okay? That's one term. And what is sarfable, yeah, what we can make sarf from are only two, isims and fi'ils. We can't do this with halves, yes? We cannot make halves sarfable. Only isims and fi'il. Nahu is, of course, the science that we are learning now. Yes, Nahu, how words interact in a sentence, and then maybe we will touch on balagha. Yeah, balagha is a whole different world by itself. Yep, it's different methods to convey a message that moves or effects. But within balagha, we have subheadings. Yes, if you have attended the balagha intensive that Ustad Numan did, yes, you would have heard things like ilmu al-ma'ani, yes, ilmu al-ma'ani, ilmu bayan, yes, and ilmu badi, yes, ilmu ma'ani, ilmu bayan, ilmu badi. Ilmu ma'ani is what touches us most because we have learned nahu and we have learned sarf. So ma'ani actually are different ways of saying something using grammatical rules. Okay, so we know how to form a jumla ismiyah, we know how to form a jumla fi'iliyah, yes? But when you start adjusting things, when you put the haba before the mubtada, for example, there is something different. Then there is meaning to that, yeah? So that's where ilmu ma'ani comes in. Ilmu bayan is different ways of expressing the same thing. Okay, for example, the normal way you would say is something like Zaid is brave. Okay, that's the normal sentence. Zaid is brave is a jumla ismiyah. Zaid is mubtada. Brave is habar. Yeah, but you can also say Zaid is as brave as a lion. Okay, for example, this is when we use what we call simile or tashbih. This comes under ilmu bayan. Or you can even say Zaid is a lion. You drop the like a lion. Okay, so this is another technique in ilmu bayan as well. Yeah. Then we have ilmu badi'. Ilmu badi' is a way of beautifying what we have just done above. Yes, we say things differently, we express things differently, but we can also beautify it further. Okay, usually you beautify things either with a meaning or you beautify it with a sound. The easiest for us to remember is the sound. Okay, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he did the Quran, yes, he incorporated all of this. This is why the scholars spend years and years, hundreds of years studying how he wrote the Quran, in what way he wrote the Quran. Yes, for example, ilmu badi, from the sound. When you want to beautify the sound, usually when he ends his verses, sometimes it ends with the same letter. It ends with the same letter. For example, Surah Al-Qaf. Do you notice that Surah Al-Qaf ends with the letter Alif? All the verses ends with the letter Alif. Yes, that's how beautiful the Quran is. The Surah Yasin that we're going to do, it ends with either Mim or Nun. These are the two letters that he uses, Mim or Nun. Yeah. So Ilmu Ma'ani, Ilmu Bayan, Ilmu Badi. We won't be spending too much time on this because our Emphasis is on Nahu, and we're going to look at the Arab side of Nahu. Yeah, inshallah. Any questions so far? Um, Sound check?
No, thanks.
No, no.
No,
Okay,
no questions,
alhamdulillah.
sister.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Because sometimes when it's quiet, I'm not sure whether I'm talking to myself or is there someone out
Yeah.
there.
Can I say something like the Sarf? I don't remember. Is that okay?
Okay, we will do this quite in detail when we do the Irab, because I believe very much that if you know the word, you know how it fits inside the sentence, and you need to recognize the word, whether the word is an isim, whether it is a fi'il, and sometimes even a half. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a half, but actually it is a fi'il. So, yes, we will spend time on Saf, the different families. What about you, Brother Hazim? Are you okay with Saf?
I remember 1 until 12 family. Yeah,
We have
just
10
something.
families altogether.
Oh, I don't.
We have 10 families. So maybe we can spend a little time on revising some of the families, yes, but we can't spend too much time because we need to do the Irab of Yasin. Yeah, but uh, I think the best way to remember something is actually to apply it. So when we do the Irab of Yasin, inshallah, your Saf will improve. Yeah, inshallah. Okay. So now, this is just something to warn you, yeah, because sometimes people get a bit mixed up. So I just want to say to you here that, yeah, that sometimes we use the same term, for example, Saf, yes, but in Nahu, Saf is something, yeah, but Saf can be something else in another science, okay? And then at the same time, it can be the other way. It's the same meaning, but we use different terms for the same thing, yeah? All right, another example, for example, in Sarf, we have something called isim fa'il. Isim fa'il. Yes, it sounds exactly like the fa'il that you have in a jumla fi'iliyah, the doer. Yes, but an isim fa'il is actually a word, an isim, that represents a doer. And that doer in a sentence, yeah, in a sentence, can be rafa, nasab, or jar. Yeah, so we'll come across this as we go along, inshallah. Okay, so recognizing the type of word. This is the first step. First, you need to know what type of word it is before you make it rub. Is it a fi'il, an isim, or a harf? Okay. Now, for the isim and the fi'il, we have things called status and moods. Okay. This is the rafat nasab jar. For the harf, on the other hand, it doesn't have any place in Iraq. Yeah, there's no such thing as a rafat harf, a nasab harf, or a majrur harf, or a majzum harf. Yeah, it has no place in Iraq. Yes, we see that. Then there is, of course, once you know it's either a fi'il or an isim, then you will say, what status is it? Okay, so this is where the nasab, rafa, ja, and jazm comes in. Yeah, and ja is specifically for isims. Remember this, please. Ja is specifically meant for isims. You don't have a majrur fi'il. Yes, you only have a majrur isim. And jazm, you have it for fi'ils. You can only make the fi'il lightest. You cannot make the isim lightest. Okay, so jazm is also meant just for fi'il. Yeah, so ja, isim, jazm, fi'il. Okay, we'll remember this because we'll do this many times. Then
What is jazm again?
jazm
Jazm?
is when you make it lightest, it
Oh,
ends with a sukun.
okay.
Ah, okay. Right. So I've just said something there. Sukun means it is jazm, right? So that is what we call a sign. Yes. How do we know whether it's nasab, rafa, or jar? There must be something that shows us it is rafa, nasab, and jar. Yeah. So we'll see the classical representation of these. Then after that, after you've identified what type of word it is, the status it's in, the sign that shows the status, right? Then only we can say the place it has in that sentence. This is whether it is a maf'ul, whether it's a mubtada, whether it's a fa'il. Yeah, will all depend on what we see here. This we will not talk about today because all of this will take up most of the night. Okay, inshallah. Okay. Now, back again, because it's important just to remind ourselves what an isim is, yes, what a fi'il is, and what a harf is. Yes, this is the classic definition that we were taught in Bayina. Yes, isim, name of someone, somewhere, something, and some thought. Yes, which is idea, basically an idea of something. Then there's the fi'il. There are three forms of fi'ils actually in the Arabic language. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Adjective, adverbs, and pronouns also under isims. Yes, and action, it's past, present, and command. Under command, we have forbidding as well. Yeah, we also have forbidding. Then, of course, half. And half, well, half is a word that does not make sense until another word comes along. Yeah, because it doesn't stand by itself. It has to have something in front of it or behind it. Yeah, okay. So let's go back to what I said about isims and fi'il having status or modes. Okay, so let's have a look what we mean by i'rab of an isim, i'rab of fi'il. Asma is the plural of isim. Af'al is the plural of fi'il. Okay, so for isims, the default status for an isim is rafa. Yeah, rafa or marfu. I have a reason why I've written both. Yes. Then if something happens to it, usually it's a half. The half comes along and does something to it. Okay. It alters its status. Okay. So it alters its status. Then it can become two. Either it can become nasab, mansub, yeah, or it can become jar, majrur. Okay. The term jar and majrur is actually what we call the Basriyun terms. These Basriyun are grammarians from Basra. Okay, that's why we call them Basriyun. They come from Basra, and they call these things jar and majrur. Why I'm showing you the other term is because some of the other Iraq books also uses the terms that have been used by the Kufiyun. Kufiyun are people from Kufa. Yes, they're also grammarians, but they were based in Kufa. The difference between the Basriyuns and the Kufiyun is the Kufiyun is more modern, so to speak. Okay, more modern in sense. So they don't call it jar, they call it havd. Yeah, a bit difficult to pronounce. Havdun. Okay, havdun or mahfud. Yeah, dod is a word that you swallow at the end. Yeah, mahfud. Yeah, there's no kakala with dod. So havdun, mahfud, you need to be familiar because it does pop up in some books. So I don't want you to be like, what's this? Yeah. So it's the same as ja. Yeah. The kasra time that you see or the kasra. That's the ja. Then af'al. We're not going to do Irab of af'al yet until we finish asma because quite a lot to cover under asma. Yeah. Now, what's the default mood? I call mood, I just want to differentiate between status and mood. You can also say status for af'al, but it's nice to have a different word for a different set of words. Yeah. So I call it a mood for the af'al. So the default status is also marfu. Marfu. The altered mood is mansub. Yes. And jazm. Right? Remember I said ja belongs to isim, jazm belongs to fi'l. Yeah, they do not mix. They do not mix. So this is i'rab for the isms, i'rab for the fi'ls. Yeah, so rafa, nasab, jar, rafa, nasab, jazm. Yeah, and halves, they don't have any modes, they don't have any status. What they do is jobs. They have jobs to do. Okay, so that's your half. Okay. Just like I said, I like to stress on vocabulary because to me it's the easiest way to drill home a term. If not, you won't remember. You get the letters all mixed up and you want to say the word also, you're not sure. Yeah, but once you know what the meaning is, inshallah, it becomes easier to remember. So always do the vocabulary exercises that they have in your dream exercise books and all that. Yeah, because it will help. So sarf, the meaning of sarf is sod ra fa. Yes, is to turn away, to change, to inflect. In terms of noun, we look at the changes at the end of the word. Yeah, for a noun, we only look at the end of the word. So it's called inflection because it's at the end. For the verb, you conjugate. It changes both the front and the back of the fi'il. We will see this later. Yeah. So for the noun, we're only looking at the ends. For the verb, we'll see both the beginning and the end. Yeah, that's what we call to conjugate. And why does it conjugate? When we start to change the doers. Yes, whether it's huwa, huma, hum. Yes, this is where the verb will change. But for isms, they have only three, which is singular, dual, and plural. Yeah, so we'll see this, and it only affects the ends. Rafa, to lift up. Ra, fa, and ain. Your dhamma, the little wow looking thing that you have on top of your letter, the end letter, yes, that's your rafa sign, the dhamma. This is your default sign, yes, to make high. And it's called in English the nominative noun or the indicative verb. Indicative verb is the marfu verb, yes, the una, ina, the ones with the noons at the end. Yeah, these are all marfu. Okay, why I'm saying this, because when you read books, I would like you to understand what is nominative. For example, I don't want you to like go blur what's nominative. That's English, right? What is it? But in Arabic, it's rafa or marfu. Yes. Then there is nasab. Nasab is the same thing because it's fatha. It's still at the top of the letter. Yes, but it's a dash, not that wow. Yeah. To raise, to set up, to erect. Yeah, so this one is accusative noun, they call it, or the subjunctive verb, because we have verbs that are mansub. Yes, that are mansub with a fatha. Light, light present tense, we call it. Yeah, so that's mansub. Light present tense and a nasab noun are two different things. They are not the same thing. Yeah, it's just that the sign is similar. So we have nominative, we have accusative. Then, of course, we have jar for the isim. So this is just the isim, the genitive noun. Yeah, this one so far we have noun, verb, but for jar, it's about nouns. So jar, it means to pull down. That's why it becomes a kasrah. Yeah, from the little dhamma and the fatha sign at the top, you will bring down that and becomes a kasrah sign. Yeah, tanda di bawah. In Malay, we would say tanda di bawah. Yeah, jar is to pull down. So you know that it is the kasrah. Yes, this is the default sign. Then, of course, you have this, which is the alternative. This is the kufiyun. It means to make lower. Same thing, to pull down. And we talk about the noun, not the verb. And finally, we have jazm, which is to cut off. And that's why we say the sign is a sukun. Sukun is when you don't have a sound. Okay, sukun is silence. Sukun is still. That's why when you say sakinah in your heart, it means stillness in your heart. It brings calm. That's to cut off, no sound. Jazm, sukun. The opposite of sukun is harakah. Harakah means movement. Yes, when you have sound, you have a haraka on your fa, it becomes fa. You have a dhamma on your fa, it becomes fu. Yes, there is sound. So sound comes from vibration or movement. Yeah. So sukun, cut off, jazm, nothing, silent. Yeah. And this is for the verb. And we use it when we want to use, when we make commands, yeah, or when we use the lightest present tense. Okay. Absorb that slide a bit. Okay, there. Now we talk about the signs. Just now we talked about the status. Yes, rafa, nasab, jar, and jazm. So how can we tell whether it's rafa, nasab, or jar? So I'm going to show you two sets of identification. One is the original. Yes, here we go, one box. We call it asliya, original, asli. We know that word. And then we have something called fara'iyya. Far'iyya is from the root letters fa, ra, ain. So fa, ra, ain means to branch out or to be derived. Yeah, so it's not the original sign, but it is something that you use to represent the original sign. Okay, then we call it far'iyya, yeah, representation. So the original sign for rafa is dhamma. We saw that. Nasab is fatha, yes, on top. And jar is kasrah, it's pulled down. Yes, this is for your isim. And then we have al-jazm, which is sukun. So this would be for your fi'ils. There are isims that end with sukun. Can anybody think of what type of isims can end with a sukun? Mr. Nazma, you want to try? Taramiko, are you there? What type of isims do you think will end with a sukun? We just said just now that sukuns belong to fi'ils, right? But now I'm telling you there are isims with sukun. This is another thing you have to get used to. There are always exceptions to the rule. Okay.
Masdar.
Masdar is an isim. I was thinking more of pronouns. Like for example, the word hum, ha, mim, there's a sukun on top. Yeah. So there are isims that do have things like sukun on it, but we don't use the term mu'rab. We use the term mabni. Yeah, so that's another thing that we're going to learn, inshallah. Okay, so what's far'iyah? Just going to list it down for you because you won't know what I mean until you see the example. So it's just things like wow, alif, nun, ya. I've got fatha here as well. Now, how come this is not asli? Why is this fatha? Far'iyah. We'll see why as well. Yeah, and kasra. So these two can be either asliyah or far'iyah. It depends on what you're looking at. Yeah, so this is something we need to understand, inshallah. Okay. Remember that slide that I showed to you? And I said that identify status, sign, or place. When the sign is not what you expect it to be, that means when the sign is not the default, yeah, you will need to explain why when you do the i'rab of that word. Okay, so we'll see how this one works. You need to explain why. Okay, so these were the signs again. So if let's say it is a far'iyah sign, then why is it far'iyah? Yes, why is it not the usual sign? So we need to explain when we do i'rab. This is the standard practice when we do i'rab for any word, inshallah. So let's have a look a bit more on the type of words that we have. I think this one, you should know this. This one is very simple. Okay. Uh, Sister Asila, are you okay with this chart? Do you recognize this chart?
Yes.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. So this chart actually tells you what are the words that you can expect in any sentence. Okay. So this side in the dark green is all the fi'ls, all the actions. Yes. And this side, which is pink, these are all the isms. Yeah. Your masdar is an isim, your isim maf'ul is an isim, your isim fa'il is an isim, your zarf is an isim. Yeah. So you will see these words with tanwins. Yeah, we see these words with tanwins. Isim maf'ulun, isim fa'ilun, because these are all isms. Yeah. Um, that's one sign of an isim, the tanwin. Yeah, that's one sign of the isim, the tanwin. The other sign for an isim, I'm sure you remember, is when it has alif lam in front of it. Then you can be sure that is an isim. Okay? There's only one rare case where you see a tanwin and it is a fi'il. And this case we will learn later on, which is nun saqila. Sorry, nun hafifa, a case of nun hafifa in the Quran. And then it got attached itself to a nun and it became a tanwin, and that was a fi'il. Yeah, but this one is later on. We'll come across this later on. But as of the normal case, a sure sign of isim is tanwins. Sure sign is alif lam. So you know automatically, this is an isim. Yeah. Fi'il, on the other hand, we need to look at the patterns. Yeah, the sarf patterns. Like Brother Hazim said, from family 1 until family 10. Okay, so fi'il madin, this is your past tense. Fi'il mudari is your present tense. Yes, then we have the passive and we have the passive here. And we call the passive majhul. Yes, why do we call it majhul? Because it comes from the root letter jim ha lam, which is jahil. You know, jahil is not to know, not not to be knowledgeable. Okay, jahil. So when you say majhul, you do not know who the doer is. Yes, you don't know. So you're jahil about the doer. This is why we call it majhul, passive. So amar, nahyun, zafun. Yeah. So these are the type of words. Okay, so let's see an example of this chart at work. We call this chart, remember, Saf Sagir. Yeah, Saf Sagir chart. All right. I'm going to look at the word alama. This one, we should be familiar with this. So علم يعلم تعليما فهو معلم. علم يعلم تعليما فهو معلم. الأمر منه عالم. النهي عنه لا تعلم. الظرف منه معلم. Yeah, معلم. So what does this chart say actually? What does this chart say? It's actually a bit of poetry, because the Arabs like to use rhythm poetry to so that it's easy for us to remember. That's why they write all these matans. They call it matan or nazm, which is like poetry. Like Al-Jurumiyah is a poetry, right? Al-Muha is also poetry, all about grammar. Imagine that they wrote poetry about grammar. Yeah, so they're very innovative people, and their intention is because they believe it's easier to remember when you learn it in this way, like a sing-song way. So I'm not very good with songs, but I'll try and explain this one. Yes, of the Safu Sarir. Yeah. Um, and what does the first line say? Yes, the first line of the active form. I hope this is not too small on the phone. Okay, he taught, he teaches, because it's mudari, teaching. Teaching is the masdar. There is like a khilaf, a difference of opinion as to whether words come from fi'ils or words come from masdar. The word masdar itself, from sad, da, and ra, yeah, sad, dal, and ra, actually means source or punca, the source. So it's called masdar because some school of thought say that we derive all these other words from the masdar, from ta'aliman or ta'limun. Yeah. But the other school of thought is that no, we derive our isim, so on and so forth, from the fi'il. And the fi'il that we look at is always the fi'il of the third person masculine. Huwa, the huwa version. Yeah, third person masculine. He. So this is the base, the reference. Yeah, we don't talk about hiya or anta or anti or ana or nahnu. We talk about huwa in this template. Okay, so he taught, he teaches, teaching, because masdar is what we call in English the gerund. 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 Yeah, and gerund are words that end with the words ing, ing. So sleeping, talking, thinking. Yeah, so these are your gerund. So masdar is like that. Ta'liman, teaching. Yeah, ing at the end. Then there's the second line, which is the passive form. Yeah, we don't know the doer. Remember, majhul, jahil. Second line, passive. He was taught. He is taught. Teaching. So he is the one being taught. Yeah. Fahuwa mu'allamun. So family 2 until 10. Not family 1. Family 1 has a different pattern. Yeah. You notice that the fa'il has kasrah here. The maf'ul has dhamma here. That's how you tell the difference. So khatib, khatib is the one who speaks. Khatab is the one who is spoken to. Yeah, khatib is the one who speaks. Khatab is the one who is spoken to. So the same thing. That's the second line, passive. Then we have the third line. The third line here, we would say like this. Yeah, the command from him. Al-amru minhu, the command from him. Teach. Alim. Yeah, alim. He's telling us. Okay. Then this one, an-nahyu anhu. Yes, the restraint on him. What is being forbidden on him? Don't teach. Yes. Okay. Then here, al-zafu minhu, the place or time belonging to teaching. Yeah. So minhu can mean from. It also can mean belonging to. Yes. Belonging to, or how do you say? Attributed to. Yes. So there is another meaning here. And you can tell this from the dictionary. Now I'm going to take a break from the slideshow for a while because I want to show the dictionary to you. Yeah. This is something that you need to download onto your PC if you have not already. Yeah, ejal.net. Yeah, EJTAAL.net. I hope you can see it. Let me see whether I can make it bigger. I can only make this bigger, but not that one. Okay. So this is your dictionary, and it's an easy dictionary to use because you need to type in your Arabic letters. For example, I'm looking for an, right? I'm looking for an. I would type in ein and nun, and whoops, comes out the word an, your preposition. Yeah. So that's an. And you can see there what it means. Yeah. We said just now, an was restrained on him, right? Restrained on him. So it's the word on. Yeah, so it can be the word on. And then we have the other word, which is min. So we normally translate min as from. But min can also mean, yeah, where are we? Where did I see it? Oh yeah, here it is. Belonging to. Yeah, it can also mean belonging to. So the place or time belonging to teaching. Allah. So this is basically the Sarf Sagir chart. Okay, the Sarf Sagir chart. So memorize this. Alama yu'allimu ta'liman fahuwa mu'allim. Ullima yu'allamu. Always u-i for the majhul madin. U-a for the mudari majhul. Yeah. Then ta'liman fahuwa mu'allam. Yeah. Then al-amru minhu allim. An-nahyu anhu la tu'allim. Azafu minhu mu'allam. Because when you repeat the sound like that, it just becomes automatic. Yeah? It just becomes automatic. So it's worth memorizing this. Because when you learn a pattern for a particular word, you recognize your allama, any other word in that family, you can put it in. It becomes easier for you to put it in. Yeah. You just replace the letters, that's all. But the tune is in your head. Yeah. Allama yu'allimu ta'liman. Yeah. It comes like that. So learn. Start speaking to yourself when you're bathing or taking a shower. Memorize the chart. I think they've said this maybe in your dream course as well. Yeah. So this is Yansuru. I've decided because this is a mujarat family. Now mujarats are very interesting. They are probably the easiest family to learn. The only thing difficult about it is the masdar because you have to look it up in the dictionary. Dictionary again. Okay, let's go back to the dictionary again. Let's look up Nasara. Yeah. So we said that we need to type in the root letters. This is why I would like you to have an Arabic keyboard. Yeah. If not, you'll have to transliterate and then get yourself in a mess. But non-sara, Nasara. So this is where your masdar is. Yeah. Nasrun, Nusur, this one. Yeah. There's another dictionary that I use. It's called Ma'ani, Al-Ma'ani. Very good dictionary to use as well. You have the translation. You have things in Arabic as well. This one may be later when you feel more comfortable. Yeah. So it will tell you what the masdar is. This is basically in Arabic. Yeah. But you also have the translation. Yeah. So it will say, this is masdar, Nasara. That's family too. Yeah, so it's Nasran wa Nusrat, Nusrah, yeah? Nasran and Nusrah. This is your Mazda. Nasirun is your fi'il. Okay, let's go back to that again. So with the Mujarat family, why I say it's easy is because it only has 3 letters. It only has 3 letters, Alhamdulillah. And the changes only occurs on the second letter. This will stay Fatha, this will stay Fatha. Yeah? And the isim fa'il has the same pattern as the word fa'il. Fa'ilun, nasirun. And the isim maf'ul has the same pattern of maf'ul. Maf'ulun, mansurun. Yeah, so that's why this is easy to remember. Bit tough on the zaf though, because they have 3 zafs. They have the pattern maf'alun, maf'ilun, and maf'alatun for the zaf. But otherwise, it's quite simple. Why? Because there's only 3 letters. Yeah, this one later on when we do so. So now we have about 10 minutes. And we have about quite a number of slides to go through. So maybe we'll try and see what we can do. And if not, we will stop somewhere where it's convenient and we will continue next Friday, inshallah. Okay, the Muslim chart. This one also, I'm sure you're familiar with it. Yes, the Muslim chart. Why do we call it the Muslim chart? For the simple reason that we use the word Muslim. Okay, here we are, the word Muslim. And I was saying to you, with the Muslim chart, you only have to worry about singular, dual, and plural. Yeah, singular, dual, and plural. Okay, and this is the rough outline. Everything is up there. Oops, except for this. This is what? What is this? Okay. Then the nasab, this is still up there, except for these. And only with ja do we pull it down to kasra. Yes, muslimin. But this is muslimani, muslimaini, muslimaini. And it's the same for nasab and ja. So you can only tell the difference from the context, from where it is in the sentence. Yes. So this is a bit difficult, but not that difficult. You get used to it. Yeah. So this is what we call ending sound. And this is what we call ending combination. Why do we call it ending combination? Because it's ani, aini, aini. It's not just mun, man, min. And this is una, ina, ina. Yes? So that's why we call it ending combination. This is your default. This is not your default. This is what we call far'iyah. Yeah, the branches, what we derive from the original. And that's the distinct line between this and this. Okay, ending sounds, ending combination. So how do I explain to you the far'iyah? Quite simple. We said the asli is dhamma, fatha, kasra. Yes? Or dhammatain, fathatain, kasratain. Just to show you that it's dual. Yeah, there's two of the signs there. Because it's tanween, it has that. When it becomes light, we get rid of the nun sound, then it becomes u, a, and e. Yes, remember that? U, a, and e. When we get rid of the nun sound. Yes, the heavy sound. So now this is where we get the far'iyah. We have an alif, we have a waw, and we have a ya. No longer dhamma, fatha, and kasra. Yeah. So let's go back again to that slide just now. This one. So what did we see just now? This was the normal one, dhamma, fatha, kasra. We're talking about isims, so we're not looking at jism. Yeah. So what we saw just now was waw, alif, and ya. Yeah. Instead of dhamma, fatha, and kasra, we saw waw, alif, and ya. Okay. Let's have a look again. Let's hope it'll stick. So we saw waw, alif, and ya. And ya is for all this. It's for. It's just different here. This is what we call waw jam'ah, and this is alif musanna. Yeah, musanna or sanya. We can call it sanya as well. Okay, that was, by the way, muzakka, masculine. Yeah, muzakka is masculine. Now let's look at the muannas, the ladies. What's the difference? The ta. This is what we call ta marbuta. Ta marbuta is the closed ta. It's a loop. Okay, it's one loop there. And the two dots up there is up there. Because the other one that is open, like this one, this is what we call ta maftuha. Maftuha means open because it comes from the word fataha, just like Surah Al-Fatiha. This is the opening surah. Yeah. Ta maftuha is the open ta. Tar mabuta is the closed ta. Yeah. So here we have here dhammatain, fathatain, kasratain. So the sign now, we see alif, ya, ya. But there's no waw. We don't have waw. We go back to our dhammatain, kasratain, but this is nasab. Isn't it supposed to be fathatain? No, it's not, because it's no longer ending sound. It's ending combination. So atin, same thing. Yeah. Aini, sorry, tiny. Yes, the ta there, all denoting that it is feminine. So this one is something we have to be very careful, because even the experts sometimes get tricked by this. Okay, they get tricked by this because they see kasrah, automatically they think it's ja. Yeah, but it's not ja. it is actually nasab. So this is the other sign that we saw just now that was far'iyah. Yeah, the other sign that was far'iyah. Sorry, I have to keep on. Yeah. So instead of kasrah, it is actually, sorry, instead of fatha, it is actually kasrah. Yeah. So this is where the far'iyah comes from. For the nasab, instead of fatha, we have a kasrah. Atin. Sound atin. That's where it has changed. Yeah. So original sign in red and representative sign in green. This should be red, sorry. Yeah, my colors are wrong. This should be red. This one is red. This one is not. Yeah, this one is green. So I'll color that. I'll correct the colors later. Or I can correct it now, just in case I forget. Um, it gives me a chance to rest my voice as well. Okay, so the representative signs are in green and the original signs are in, yeah. So now we know the signs, now we know the status. We need to put it in words. We need to be able to read the Irab in the book, right? And know what it means. So this one is the wordy type. This is the word part, so I don't expect you to know this instantaneously, but I think you will recognize some of the terms. You may have heard this before, yeah, inshallah. So when we make a Irab statement of Irab, when we do grammatical analysis, there is a format, there is a way. Yep. First, you say what the word is, and then you say what type of word is it? Is it an isim? Is it a fi'il? Or is it a harf? Okay. So then, when you have decided what word it is, you tell them it's fi'il mudari, for example, or it is isim majrur, or it is maf'ul bihi. Yeah. Then you say the status. If it's maf'ul bihi, then it will be nasab, right? Because maf'ul is detail. Details are nasab. So it will be mansub, for example. Then we'd say, what is the sign? Because it's mansub, it is fatha. Sign is fatha. Yeah. And then you will say what the function is. Yeah. Because um, how do you say? You can say isim mansub and then say maf'ulihi, but most of the time they will actually say it in front here already. Yeah, they don't have this back part. They just say maf'ul bihi mansub because of the fatha, and that's enough. They don't say isim mansub and the status is mansub and the sign is fatha and it is maf'ul bihi. Usually they don't do that, but I will put it this way so that we remember these are the components that should be there. So let's see an example. We had the word muslimun. Okay. So because we don't have a sentence, I will just call it isim marfu. If it was in a sentence, we would know what it is. So we may say it's mubtada marfu, for example. Yeah. But in this case, we just call it any old isim, sufulan. Yeah, ismun marfu'un. Then we have to say wa alamatu raf'ihi, the sign of its rafa. Yeah, the sign of its rafa. Raf'ihi is its rafa. Okay. Alamat, we know, sign, is the dhamma. Is the dhamma. Here, the dhamma sign up here. It's enough to say dhamma. We don't have to say dhamma sign. Okay. And here in brackets, I've added zahiratu ala ahirihi. Oh, what's this? Basically, what it's saying is I can see the dhamma. Okay. Zahir is to be able to see. And I can see it at the end of the word. Yes. Ala ahirihi is at the end of the word. So I can see the dhamma clearly at the end of the word. Okay. Then we have Musliman. This is Mamsub, and the sign of its nasab is Fatah. And I can also see it at the end of the word. Quite clear here and here. Why I'm stressing this, you'll see in a while. Okay. Then we have the Far'iyah. Remember, Ani. So the sign is Alif. It's no longer Dhamma. It's Alif. This Nun just represents the Tanween. This Nun, that's why when we make it light, we drop the Nun. Yeah, it just represents the Tanween. This is what the Nun does. But what we are looking at is actually the Alif. Yeah, not quite the end of the word, because it's an ending combination. That's why we call it ending combination. It consists of two letters. Yeah, Alif and Nun. So we have a new term here that we need to learn. It's called Niabatan. And Niabatan is like Naib, like vice president. Yeah, you represent the president. So this is what it's basically saying. This Alif is representing the Dhamma. And remember when I said, when the sign is different from what you expect it to be, we have to explain. So li annahu is because. It means because. Yeah. And why? Because it is dual. The alif always represents dual. Musanna. Not to be confused with muannas. Muannas is feminine. Musanna is dual. Yeah. Musanna is dual. So we are saying here basically it is marfu. Yeah. But the sign of the rafa'ness is alif. It's not dhamma. It's in place of the dhamma. Yeah. Niabatan an dhamma. Vice president of dhamma. Because it is dual. Yeah. So this is how we would write the i'rab. Now we have Muslimun. Muslimun. This is isim marfu, and the sign of the rafa is wow. Sign of rafa is wow. And we say again in the place of dhamma because it is what we call sound, salim, masculine, muzakkar, plural, jamun. Sound, masculine, plural. Yeah, that is the English term for it. Sound, masculine, plural. Why do we say it's salim, sound? Because it's not a broken plural. You learned about broken plural, right? So it is not a broken plural, it is a sound plural. So Muslimun. Why do we say it's sound? Because the original word is still there. Muslim is still there. We just stuck a wow here and the nun to represent the tanween. The muna. Yeah. Okay. Any questions here? Because I think I will stop on the muzaka, or maybe I'll stop on the oh sorry, there's another one here. Sometimes in the books you will see the term bidalan min ad-dhamma. Yeah, means in exchange for the dhamma. Yeah, bidalan in exchange for the dhamma. The mu'annas is basically the same. Yeah, but here we see it, right? It's ya now, not alif. That's all. That's all the change. And we still use the word niabatan an. Niabatan. Only thing here is take note because it's atin, yeah, and this is now a mansub, but it is represented by a kasrah. Yes, so it's the kasrah is the vice president of the fatha. And why? Because it is a sound feminine plural, and the ta is your ta ta'nis, the ta that represents feminine. Yeah? Represents feminine. Okay, so I think we will stop here because it's a bit heavy going, right? I don't want to make your minds too tired. Any questions here, please? No? Sister Nazma? Everything under control?
Yes, yes.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, I just want to ask a question. If it is the majrur version, if it is Muslimatin majrur, yes, how would my Irab be here?
Isim majrur wa alamatin majrur al-kasrah. Majrur al-kasrah.
Okay, and it stops there. There's no
Yes.
niabatan, yeah, because wa alamatu jarihi, we will put here
Right.
jarihi, yeah, al kasrah. It will be just like the one above, because we can see the kasrah here. It's quite clear at the end. Alhamdulillah, and no niabatan an, yeah, because it's the normal sign. It's only here that it has changed. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, what about you, Brother Hazim? Are you okay?
Do we have to remember this alamata
Wa alamata, yes, wa alamatu actually, wa alamatu nasbihi. You will see this in the Iraq books. Let me show you, yeah. One book that we use, and I think they used it in the Bayina as well. So I don't know where you are now in your class. So here, for example, yeah, we have this is typical Iraq note. Let's see. There's one. Wow, these are all the complicated ones. I'm trying to find the simple one. Alamat. You can say that, or you can also say something with B, the word B. Yeah. This alamat.
so we have
Inshallah.
to use the template to
Yes, that will be easy. Yeah, easier for you to follow.
okay.
Yes. So we just follow that because a lot of mabnis here. I don't see. I'm choosing the wrong surah maybe. Tak ada kat sini. But we have things like jamu muzakkar salim. Yes. Li'annahu marfu' bil waw because it is this and this. Yes, we have that. Here it uses the term bil waw instead of wa alamatu raf'ihi. Yes, it just says bil waw. This is the simple way of doing it. Yeah, we can also do that. But I want to teach you the difficult one because if you see the difficult one, then you won't be scared of it because you've seen it before. Yeah, but the simple one is this one. They use bil waw instead of marfu wa alamatu raf'ihi al waw, right? For example, they just say bil waw. They replace that whole thing with something just ba. Let me show you. Where's the slide back in? Let's show slide. Yeah, this part here kan. Wa alamatu nasbihi. They replace this whole thing with just the word ba. Yeah, meaning that because of wow, in a way, short way of saying it. Yeah. So bil wow instead of wa alamatu nasbihi. There are two ways of doing this. You will see as we go on, there are a number of ways of expressing the same thing. Remember that second slide I showed you? Yeah, you can have the same word, but when you take it from one science to another science, it have a different meaning. Or you can have different words having the same meaning. So like we saw just now in the other slide, where we can say this one. Yeah. We can also say bidalan minat dhammah instead of niyabatan anil dhammah. So these are things that you will find in the Iraq books. Yeah, inshallah. Okay. Sister Asila, how about you? Any questions? Next week we will do this question. Yeah, and this one is really interesting. because this is a different category altogether. Yeah, we remember we learned about partly flexible. Yeah, so this is an introduction to that, but that's another topic. We won't go into that tonight. So yes, back to this. Is there? Do you have any questions here? Oh, is my pace okay? Am I going too fast or how?
Okay for me, sis.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, good. So next week we will continue on the I'rab of isims, because isims quite a lot of things that we need to look at. Yeah, we have to look at something called mamnu min al-sarf. Yes, which is the big topic, the topic of partial flexibility. Yeah, and then only we go to fi'il, and then from fi'il we touch the fragments. Once we have done the fragments, inshallah, we can begin our Surah Yasin. Yeah. So like I said, from 5 to 7 lessons, and then we'll take a 2-week break because I have to travel in November. I have to travel about 2 weeks in November, so we take a two Friday break, and then only we begin our actual Yasin. Yeah, we begin our actual. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Yes, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone.
Jazakallah khairan.
Walaikum
Amin
salam.
wa iyyakum. Salam. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khairan.
Amin wa iyyaki.